The night my marriage died didn't start with a fight, a confession, or a dramatic text. It started with wet hair dripping on my clean floor. Before that, I honestly thought I'd built something solid. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 29, a systems analyst at a mid-sized fintech in Chicago, and my life used to fit neatly inside calendars, Jira boards, and color-coded spreadsheets. I liked that. Predictable inputs, predictable outputs, build a good system, you get a good result. I assumed people worked the same way if you picked carefully and showed up consistently. Lauren and I met on a dating app, one of those where everyone pretends they're not usually on here. She had a profile photo at some rooftop bar, hair catching the city lights, a grin that looked like trouble and ambition mixed together. Her bio said marketing, spin addict, IPA over wine, no drama. We matched, messaged, met for tacos, and I remember thinking on that first date, she talks fast, but she listens. That's rare. 2 years later, we were married. City Hall, small reception, nothing Pinterest-worthy. I didn't care. I cared that she squeezed my hand during the vows like she meant it, like she was anchoring herself to something. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it felt like ours. I'd get home around 6, drop my laptop bag by the door, loosen my tie, and she'd already be mid-call or texting a client from the couch. Marketing manager at an agency. Her days were a blur of campaigns, client meetings, and quick drinks that weren't usually quick. Evenings were our reset. Thrown together dinners, eggs and toast, frozen dumplings, pasta if we were feeling ambitious. Cheap TV playing in the background, usually something we'd watched 100 times so we didn't have to think. Her feet in my lap, my laptop open, pretending to work while mostly just staying near her. We had our rituals. Sunday grocery runs. Friday takeout from the Thai place that knew our order. The way she'd steal my hoodie in the morning and then send me a selfie from the train, drowning in it. Long, late talks where we'd lie in bed and plan a future we couldn't actually see yet. Maybe a townhouse, maybe a kid someday. Maybe a trip to Italy when work slowed down. Nothing was perfect. We argued about dishes, about her phone at dinner, about me zoning out after 12 hours of staring at screens. But I believed in us. I believed that trust plus effort was enough to cover the cracks. I believed that if you kept choosing the same person every day, it meant something unshakable. Looking back, I realized something important. Systems fail quietly before they fail loud. At the time, though, I was comfortable, lulled by routines and the illusion of safety. I had no idea the cracks were already forming under the surface, widening every time I told myself everything was fine. Started in March, the month Chicago can't decide if it's done with winter or not. First, it was just timing. Lauren started coming home later, 7:30, 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 p.m., always with a reason already loaded. Client dinner ran long. Team happy hour, I told you. Gym. I really need to get back in shape before summer. All believable. All normal. And I wanted normal, so I let it slide. I told myself I was being supportive. She had a demanding job. Late nights, networking, client-facing nonsense. That was her world. Mine was push notifications and progress bars. We weren't going to clock out at the same time every day. Then there was that Tuesday. I remember it because I'd actually cleaned, vacuumed, wiped down counters, mopped the hardwood. Stupid detail, but it stuck. It was 9:30 p.m., and I was sitting on the couch with my laptop open, half watching some rerun, waiting to hear her key. The door opened. She stepped in, and everything in my body went tight. Her hair was soaked, not damp, dripping. Dark strands stuck to her neck, water running down and spotting the floor I just mopped. She was wearing black leggings and a gray top I'd never seen before. Slightly too fitted, slightly too. Not her usual. She kicked off her shoes, dropped her gym bag, and gave me a tired smile. "Hey," she said, breathing slightly quick, cheeks flushed. "Sorry, brutal workout. Traffic was insane." My eyes went from her hair to the hardwood to the unfamiliar gray top. "You showered at the gym?" I asked, casual. Or I tried. "Yeah." She said it was too fast, then added, "I was disgusted, and I didn't want to stink up the train. You know I hate that." Here's the thing. She did hate gym showers. She'd rant about them before. Gross tile, used razors, mildew smell. Her rule used to be, I'll sweat at the gym but I shower at home. My brain registered that. Filed it. My mouth said nothing. I watched a drop of water fall from her hair and hit the floor. I felt something sharp lodge itself under my ribs. She walked past me to the kitchen, opening the fridge like everything was normal. Did you eat? I'm starving. Yeah, there's leftover pasta, I said. My voice sounded calm. My chest didn't. Inside, the argument started. She could have gotten over the shower thing. Maybe they renovated it. Maybe I'm misremembering. She's allowed to buy a new top without telling me. It's not a crime to have wet hair at 9:30 p.m. after the gym. Then the other voice. Or she's lying. And you know it. That back and forth was loud enough to drown out the TV. I watched her move around the kitchen, humming under her breath. Reheating pasta like this was any other Tuesday. I didn't check her phone. I didn't interrogate her. I didn't ask for gym check-ins or receipts. I just sat there, smiling when she looked at me, playing the role of the easygoing husband who trusts his wife. But that night, when she fell asleep next to me, damp hair now dry on my pillow, I stared at the ceiling and replayed every detail. The wet hair, the new top, the gym shower story that didn't match the woman I knew. It was small, easy to explain away. Anyone else might have shrugged it off. I told myself I was overthinking, but underneath all that rationalizing, I knew the truth. That was the first real crack in the story of our marriage, and I felt it, even if I wasn't ready to admit it out loud yet. After that Tuesday, the details didn't stop. They just got quieter and sharper. She started leaving in one outfit and coming home in another. Not every day, just enough to notice if you were paying attention. Beige blouse out the door, black top on the way in. Jeans in the morning, leggings at night. Spilled coffee, she'd say, laughing it off. Client lunch got messy. Changed at the gym. No big deal. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But believing started requiring more effort than doubt. One night, when she fell asleep on the couch, I opened our banking app. Nothing dramatic, just budgeting. The same way I always did. I checked our shared credit card, scrolled line by line. Groceries, rideshares, her usual lunch spots. Not a single clothing purchase that matched the shirts and tops I'd never seen before. Maybe she paid cash. Maybe they were old and I just forgot. Maybe I'm being insane. Paranoia feels a lot like doing math with numbers that don't line up. You keep running the equation, hoping the answer will change. Then came that Friday. She got home around 8, said the office happy hour had gone long. She dropped her bag, toed off her shoes, and leaned in to kiss me. That's when I smelled it. Not her perfume. Not laundry detergent. A man's cologne. Strong, expensive, and nothing I owned. It was wound into her hair, clinging to her like fingerprints. My stomach flipped. My hand tightened on her waist. New shampoo? I asked. She blinked too fast. Yeah, sample from the gym. Why? It just smells different, I said. She shrugged, moved past me, started talking about some client who didn't understand basic branding. I nodded at the right times, but my body had already made the call. My brain kept throwing up smoke screens. Stress, overthinking, coincidence, but underneath, something steady had changed. That night, I lay awake until 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, replaying outfits, wet hair, gym showers, phantom shampoo, and a cologne that didn't belong to me. I wanted more than anything to be wrong. Deep down, I knew I probably wasn't. The morning I broke wasn't dramatic. No fight, no revelation. Just a Monday. Lauren left early, said she had a breakfast meeting with a client, kissed my cheek, grabbed her laptop bag, and was out the door before 7. I watched the door close and felt hollow. Not angry. Not yet. Just done with guessing. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. My fingers hovered over the keys for a second. Then I typed it out. Private investigator near me. The results popped up. Bad websites, cheap logos, names that sounded like TV characters. I scrolled until one caught my eye. Frank Dalton Investigations. No fancy branding. Just a basic site, a landline number, and a list of services. Infidelity, insurance fraud, background checks. My thumb tapped the number before I fully thought it through. Dalton, a tired voice answered. Yeah, my name's Ethan, I said. I think my wife might be cheating on me. Silence on his end. Not shocked silence. Just space. Come in, he said. 2 o'clock. The address is on the site. The line went dead. At 1:45, I was sitting in my car outside a 3-story brick building that used to be something else before it settled into being forgettable. The hallway smelled like dust and old coffee. His office door was plain, frosted glass with his name stenciled on. Frank looked like the office sounded. Mid-50s, tired eyes, gray at the temples, button-down shirt one wash away from needing to be replaced. No fake warmth. No fake sympathy. Just a man who'd seen this 100 times. You Ethan? He asked. Yeah. He nodded to the chair across from him. I sat. My hands finally started to shake, now that I was in it. Tell me, he said. So I did. Wet hair at 9:30 p.m. gym showers she supposedly hated. New tops that never showed up on the credit card. Outfit changes. The cologne in her hair that didn't belong to me. The lies that were almost good enough. He didn't interrupt. Didn't ask leading questions. Just listened, pen scratching occasionally across a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he spun the pad around and slid a single-page contract toward me. 2 weeks of surveillance, he said. Photos, video, timestamps, locations. I'll give you everything I find. You want a yes or no? I give you that. Retainer is $3,500. Balance due when I hand over the file. $3,500. Almost my entire quarterly bonus. I felt it in my throat. That's standard. I asked. For what you're asking, yeah, he said. You can walk out, pretend you never came in. Or you can sign and get the truth. Both choices cost something. I looked at the contract. My name already written in neat block letters. A space waiting for my signature. If she's innocent, you're a paranoid asshole who hired a stranger to follow your wife. If she's guilty, your marriage is already over. You're just catching up. I picked up the pen and signed. My hand steadied halfway through the last letter. He tore off a copy, handed it to me. I'll be in touch, he said. Try to act normal at home. Makes my job easier. Yeah, I said, standing up. That's kind of my specialty lately. The walk back to my car felt heavier than it should have. Contract in my hand, retainer charged to my card, stomach tight. I sat behind the wheel and stared at the dashboard for a full minute. Whatever the outcome, my life had just split in two before this office and after. There was no going back to not knowing. Those 2 weeks felt like living inside a bad experiment where I was both the subject and the observer. Frank started the surveillance on a Tuesday. I'd given him Lauren's schedule, the gym she went to, her license plate number, the make and model of her car. After that, my job was simple. Don't interfere. Act normal. So I did. I woke up next to her every morning. Made coffee. I packed my laptop. Kissed her on the forehead on my way out the door. Played the part. Every time she glanced at her phone and smiled, something dropped in my chest. Every time she said, I might stay late. Don't wait up. I wondered if Frank was watching her walk out of the office parking lot and turn in a direction she hadn't mentioned. The worst part was how easy it was to fake it. How's work? She'd ask over dinner. Same, I'd say. Bugs, meetings, people who don't understand deadlines. I'd ask about her clients, nod when she vented about coworkers. She'd talk about campaigns and quarterly goals while, somewhere out there, a man I barely knew was following her car to see what late really meant. At night, we'd watch TV. Sometimes she'd rest her head on my shoulder, and my body would respond the way it always had. Comfort, familiarity. Then my mind would catch up and remind me, you're not sure who else she lays like this with. The mental math never stopped. If Frank found nothing, I was the guy who paid a stranger to stalk his wife. Paranoid, distrustful, the exact kind of man I never wanted to be. If Frank found something, I was the guy married to a liar. Pick your poison. Day 7. She came home flushed and happy, talking about crushing legs at the gym. I watched her move around the kitchen, stretching her calves, humming, and opening a bottle of wine. My phone buzzed with a message from Frank. All good. Working on it. Nothing more. No hints. Professional distance. I put my phone face down and forced my voice to stay even. Good workout? I asked. Yeah, she said, smiling. Feels good to be consistent again. I almost laughed at that. Consistent. Sure. By day 12, I was exhausted in a way sleep couldn't touch. I'd go to work, write code, review tickets, and every time my phone lit up, my heart would punch my ribs. I got good at pretending I hadn't noticed. On day 14, a Thursday, my phone rang at 5:42 p.m. I was at my desk, half listening to a product meeting. Frank's name lit up the screen. I've got everything, he said when I answered. No build-up. No softening. My hand closed around the phone so tight my knuckles popped. Okay, I said. My voice sounded distant. Can you come by? He asked. Yeah, I'm leaving now. I grabbed my bag, mumbled something to my manager about not feeling great, and walked out of the office into the gray Chicago evening. On the drive to Frank's, traffic blurred. Lights, horns, familiar streets I barely registered. All I knew was simple. Whatever waited in that folder, whatever was on that flash drive, was going to decide what kind of man I was next. Husband trying to rebuild trust. Or husband planning an exit. Frank's office looked the same. I didn't. He had a manila folder and a black flash drive on the desk between us. Like props from a movie I didn't want to be in. Everything's in here, he said. You want me to walk you through it? Or you want to see for yourself? I'll look, I said. He slid the folder over. My fingers didn't shake this time. They felt oddly steady, like my body already knew what was inside and had decided to stop pretending. First photo. Lauren walking into a cheap highway motel, the kind you drive past without really seeing. Different clothes than she'd left the house in. Head down. Phone in hand. Second photo. Her leaving 2 hours later, hand in hand with a man I recognized immediately. Derek Hart. Her personal trainer. Backwards cap, gym shirt, that casual confidence I'd written off as trainer energy when she first mentioned him. I'd met him once. Quick handshake. Easy smile. Reassuring me they were working hard on her goals. Apparently, the rest of the photos were just variations on the same theme. Different days. Same motel. Same pattern. Maybe she changed outfits. Maybe he did. The story didn't. How many times? I asked. 6 confirmed in the last 2 weeks, Frank said. Pattern suggests it's been going on longer. I pulled timestamps, plates, and footage. All on here. He tapped the flash drive. I stared at the folder a while longer, then closed it. On the drive home, I expected to feel rage. I didn't. Just numb. Like someone had finally turned on the light in a room I already knew was dirty. At home, I went straight to my desk, plugged in the flash drive, and opened the first video. There she was, in motion this time, leaving the gym, getting into her car, not going home, pulling into the motel lot. Derek is already waiting. They laughed in the parking lot, kissed, went inside. 2 hours later, they walked out, casual, like this was just another part of their week. I watched all of it, every clip, every angle. Then I watched it again. Not because I needed more proof, there was no room left for doubt, but because some stubborn part of my brain kept trying to invent explanations for her. By the end of the second run-through, that part was dead. I closed the laptop, leaned back in my chair, and let the truth settle in. My wife wasn't confused or drunk or making a one-time mistake. She had a routine, a system, a second life. I felt something shift inside me. Not a snap. Not some dramatic break, just a quiet decision. I was done being the guy who absorbed damage and called it understanding. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to plan. Once the shock burned off, the engineer in me took over. I had data, so I built a use case. I called Frank the next morning. I need the footage edited, I said. 12 minutes. Chronological. Timestamps visible. Anything else? He asked. Yeah, I said. I'm sending you a song. I emailed him one of our wedding songs, the one we danced to while everyone watched, and she'd whispered, "We're really doing this." He didn't comment on it. Just replied, "Give me 2 days." While he worked on the video, I worked on the stage. I picked Thursday, Lauren's gym night. Predictable. I borrowed a projector from the office, the kind we used for client pitches. At home, I cleared the living room, pulled the couch into the center, and set it facing a blank wall. I tested the sound, made sure the speakers hit just right. Then I went into detail. Popcorn in a big bowl. 2 cans of soda sweating on the coffee table. A bag of her favorite chocolate. Lights dimmed. TV off. Laptop wired to the projector. Video queued up but paused on a black frame. If you walked in cold, it looked like date night. At 8:30 p.m., the door opened. Lauren walked in with her gym bag, hair wet again, leggings, that same gray top from the first night. "Hey," she said, a little breathless. "Sorry, they had to fix a..." Perfect timing. I cut in calm. "I set up a movie night." She blinked, thrown off just enough. "Oh, nice." She dropped her bag, took in the couch, the snacks, and the projector. "What are we watching?" "Home video," I said. "Come sit." She hesitated. Just a flicker. Then she smiled and sank into the couch beside me, reaching for popcorn. I hit play. The music started first, soft, familiar, the opening notes of our wedding song. She smiled at the sound. Then the image faded in Lauren leaving the gym parking lot. Alone. Getting into her car. Timestamps in the corner. Her body went rigid next to me. The footage followed her to the motel. Clear shot of the sign. Clear shot of her getting out of the car. Clear shot of Derek waiting by his truck, cap backwards, sunglasses on his shirt. They kissed. Timestamps kept rolling. "What is this?" she asked, voice thin. "Just watch," I said. She stood up, moved toward the projector. "Ethan, turn this off." I didn't move. "Sit down, Lauren." She looked back at the wall, at herself, laughing with him in the parking lot of a cheap motel while our wedding song played over it, and then back at me. Her eyes filled. "Please, sit," I repeated. My voice wasn't loud, but it left no room. She sat, clip after clip, different days, same pattern, same motel, same man. Every time she flinched or covered her mouth, I kept my eyes on the screen. I wasn't going to rescue her from a reality she'd created. 12 minutes isn't long, but it can stretch. The song looped, soft and romantic over cheap neon and bad decisions. By the time the video faded to black, the popcorn was untouched, the sodas warm, and Lauren was shaking beside me. There was a kind of sick poetry in it. Watching her lies projected huge on the wall of our own home, set to the soundtrack of the promises she'd already broken. The video ended, but I wasn't done. A few days before this, I'd taken the investigation one step further. Derek Hart wasn't hard to find. Public Instagram, tagged photos, a LinkedIn that screamed, grind culture. Buried in the posts was a family shot at a park. Derek, a woman, 2 kids. Her profile, Megan Hart, nurse, married, mother. I sent her a message. Simple, clinical. "I think my wife is having an affair with your husband. I have proof. Do you want to see it?" She did. I emailed a few photos, one short clip. She called me that same night, voice shredded but steady. By the end of the call, we had a rough plan. Back on the couch, Lauren's eyes were on me, red and wide. "Ethan, please, I can explain." My laptop chimed. Right on cue. I hit one key. The projector screen split. On the left, a paused frame of Lauren and Derek kissing outside the motel room door. On the right, a live video call window with Megan, sitting in her living room, hair pulled back, eyes swollen but cold. "Hi, Lauren," Megan said. "Nice to finally meet you." Lauren's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. I stayed silent, letting the weight of it sit. Megan didn't yell. She asked simple questions. How long? How often? Why a married man with kids was worth burning everything over. Lauren stammered, cried, reached for me like I was supposed to be her anchor. I let her hand fall. When Megan was done, she exhaled, said, "I've seen enough," and looked at me. "You still have the files?" "Every frame," I said. "Good," she replied. "My lawyer will too." Then she ended the call. The right side of the screen went black. I turned the projector off. The room felt smaller. "I'm so sorry," Lauren sobbed. "Ethan, I love you, I just—" "No," I said, calm. "You don't get to use that word. Not here." She kept talking, promises, therapy, second chances, all the usual lines you grab when the floor drops out. I listened, not because I was considering any of it, but because I wanted to remember exactly how it sounded when someone tried to bargain after they'd already spent everything. When she finally ran out of words, I spoke. "I've already talked to a lawyer," I said. "The house is in my name. Copies of everything are with him. You won't contest anything if you have any sense." Her crying shifted, went harsher. "Please, can we just—" I reached down beside the couch, picked up the small duffel bag I'd packed earlier. Clothes, toiletries, enough for a few days. "This is yours," I said, dropping it in her lap. "You're leaving tonight." She stared at the bag like it was a weapon. "Where am I supposed to go?" "You've been pretty good at finding rooms," I said. "Figure it out." That one hit. She flinched like I'd slapped her, but I stayed where I was. She moved on autopilot after that, stuffing more things into the bag, grabbing essentials, still crying, still muttering apologies and fragments of the life we used to have. I didn't follow her. I didn't help. I just opened the front door when she was done. At the threshold, she turned, mascara streaked, shoulders small. "I loved you," she said, like it was a final defense. I met her eyes. "You loved what I gave you," I replied. "You don't know what love is." She took that one like a body shot, then stepped out. I closed the door behind her. The lock clicked. The house went quiet. I made it 3 steps into the living room before my legs gave out and I dropped to the floor, back against the couch, lungs dragging for air in a room that suddenly felt too big and too empty. The marriage was over. The noise was gone. All that was left was me and the silence. Divorce moves fast when the other person has no leverage and no fight left. Lauren didn't contest anything. My lawyer filed, attached what he needed, and her attorney clearly told her the same thing mine told me. With that much proof, dragging it out would only make it worse. Papers were signed. Hearings were short. 6 months later, I was officially a man who used to be married. Derek didn't walk away clean either. Megan sent the footage to his gym's management. Code of conduct violation was the formal phrase. Fired was the real one. Last I heard, she filed for divorce and went for custody. I didn't feel sorry for him. Actions, consequences. Simple math. News about Lauren filtered in through mutuals and social media scraps. Her parents took a step back. Friends picked sides and most of them picked distance. Eventually she moved to another city, new job, quieter footprint. The girl who once lived on stories and attention now lived under a cloud. 6 months after the door closed behind her, I saw her again. I was walking out of a coffee shop, earbuds in, thinking about a deployment I had at work. Across the street, she stepped out of a small grocery store, paper bags in her arms, hair pulled back, shoulders slightly hunched. She looked smaller. Not thinner, smaller. Dimmer. Our eyes met. Just for a second. I saw the recognition, the flicker of something like hope or panic. She shifted her weight like she might cross. I picked up my coffee, turned, and walked out the back exit. No dramatics. No last speech. Just a choice. That night, back in my apartment, the silence felt different. Not empty, clean. Here's what I know now. Trust isn't a shield. It's a bet. Once someone shows you they're willing to torch it, you don't stand in the fire to prove a point. You step out, rebuild on your own terms, and let their ruin belong to them. The best revenge isn't destroying somebody. It's refusing to share your life with someone who already destroyed themselves.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.